There are many ways it's more challenging to be a woman in today's world. There is latent misogyny, there are double standards for strong women as compared to strong men, and it is an understatement to say that most men haven't had to grapple with what it's like to be objectified and feel threatened by members of the opposite sex. There are a couple of ways, however, that it's super tricky to be a man. One of them is that men are expected to make the first move. I'm not saying that this is good or bad or that it should be any different, but as long as that's the most common dynamic, it's important for you as a woman to understand why it's almost impossible for a guy to act in the exact same sexual way that you want him to. Stick around for a really interesting Love You podcast that is sure to push your buttons and make you think a little deeper about why sex seems so complicated. It's because it is. I'm Marc, Katz, dating coach for smart, strong, successful women and your personal trainer for love. Welcome to the Love You podcast. Keep listening to discover why men rarely get it right when it comes to sex. When we're done, I'll let you know how you can apply to Love You to create a passionate relationship that makes you feel safe, heard, and understood. So, I mention this in every podcast. I don't know why I need to. It's just a force of habit. I am a dating coach for women. My job is to explain what men think. I think that makes me, by definition, a mansplainer. Now, being a mansplainer doesn't mean I'm justifying what men do. I'm literally just trying to explain what you're observing and why it may be taking place in ways that you find terribly mysterious. So my job isn't, as contrary to what a lot of people have told me it should be, it's not to tell men what they should be doing differently. Right? Men are not my clients, men are not my audience. Whether they should be is a completely separate question, but there are people who give advice to men. I am just not one of them. I am here to arm you with the knowledge to make smart, informed choices in dating and relationships. And there is no area more fraught with danger and misunderstanding than the topic of sex. And that's why, talking to you like an adult, I'm going to be very direct with you about what it's like to be a guy and how almost any approach that you take can easily be read the wrong way. Now keep in mind when you're watching this video, I am on your side, but I'm also a guy, so I can tell you firsthand how it feels for men when they're originally dating you to take the sexual lead. Basically, as I see it, again, reasonable people can disagree, guys are forced to lead sexually. If sex depended upon women leaning in for the first kiss, inviting him home, reaching for the condoms to initiate intercourse for the first time, let's just say everything would move a lot slower if it was dependent upon women to make those first moves. So whether this is biological, which I largely suspect, or sociological, which you can never discount, I'm not going to debate. I would just point out that if I've kissed a few hundred women in my life, I could probably count on one hand the number of them who leaned in to make the first move to initiate. And if you're a woman who routinely makes the first move, good on you. You could ignore this podcast. It's not for you. So whether the guy is a nice, nerdy sweetheart or a player who's trying to get laid ASAP, men are largely still expected to take the lead sexually. Now, perhaps you've seen both of these guys in action. And remember, we're always talking about a spectrum of behavior. It's not just these two poles, but there's also a lot of overlap when you look at the behaviors of men that I think you could identify with. So there's the guy, and I've mentioned him in previous podcasts, who goes out with you for a month, but he doesn't escalate things physically. Okay? He's a nice guy, maybe a cute guy, but boy, his passivity, his lack of confidence is kind of starting to kill your attraction for him. He thinks he's being patient, and he thinks he's being respectful, but what he doesn't realize is that you want him to be more aggressive. And at a certain point, you may very well choose to get rid of the nice passive guy, because he's not triggering your attraction to him. This guy is the guy who routinely falls into the friend zone. Got it? Good. Next, we've got the other guy, and he's on the other side of the spectrum. He knows that he doesn't want to be put in the friend zone. He knows that women tend to reward confidence and boldness. He knows that a lot of women say they're looking for a nice guy, but are willing to hook up fast because they're equally driven by attraction. The problem is that this guy tends to get a little bit myopic about his needs. Instead of seeing you as a human being with feelings and the desire to be respected and forge a potential relationship, he ends up seeing you as a goal. His question when he takes you out to dinner is, how far am I going to get later? Now that guy tends to be too aggressive. He pushes the envelope so far that at a certain point, you often feel uncomfortable and turned off. Now I'm sharing this information, as always, not to look good, but because I've been both of those guys. I have. I've been the nice guy who was really afraid of screwing things up, and I was also the guy who wasn't focused on the relationship, but only on what was going to happen at the end of the night. So in the interest of being less frustrated or less confused by men, I'm asking you today to put yourself in a man's shoes. I know that may be annoying, right? You want men to put themselves in your shoes. Again, not what I'm here for, but it's a reasonable request. Right? But if I were coaching men, I would tell them what it's like for a woman to have to fend off men's unwanted sexual advances and simultaneously desire sex without seeming too slutty and emasculating him and all the tricks, right? The difficulty about being on your side of the equation. You already know that. Here talking about what you might not have considered. So maybe empathize with the nice guy who isn't comfortable acting sexually aggressive for fear of sending a message that he doesn't respect you. Guy knows he doesn't want to smother you. He doesn't want to be that guy. He doesn't want to embarrass himself. He doesn't want to be a creep. But he also knows he has to be aggressive enough so you don't lose interest. He just doesn't know what that means or what he's supposed to do. So he kind of just lingers there. And maybe even empathize with the aggressive guy, who not only wants to get laid, but actually wants to have a relationship too. Right? So we have to differentiate between different kinds of guys even within the aggressive zone. Right? He doesn't know the right way to do things either. Some women refuse to kiss on a first date. If he tries, he's labeled too aggressive. Some women refuse to engage in foreplay in the first 3 dates. If he tries, he's labeled too aggressive. Finally, some women won't have sex without commitment. If he tries, he's labeled too aggressive. Some women say no to all of these things, even though they want to do them, but they never say so. They never act as if they want to do them. So there's a lot of mixed messaging going on. And how else can things progress unless a guy initiates and tries something that you might not like? It's the only way things even get off the ground is a guy tries something. So to be clear, you could see I'm being really, really cautious. This is not an excuse for sexual harassers, rapists, guys who are overly aggressive or handsy to the point where you feel threatened, right? Guys who don't take no for an answer. We're not talking about them. There's no defense of those guys. We're talking about all the guys in the middle, right? Just trying to gently point out that in a world where nonverbal communication reigns, the world of sex is mostly silent. You're kissing and right. So yes, there's affirmative consent. I don't want to eliminate that, but for the most part, we're talking about nonverbal communication. It can be, and it is really confusing for the nicest guys to know exactly what they're supposed to do, when they should make a move, how they should make a move, and what you'd like to see happen at the end of the date. So no man wants to be put in the friend zone. No decent guy wants to be a creep. But since every woman has a different definition of how fast a man should move physically, maybe my plea is that you could be a little bit more patient when men approach sex differently than you might expect or like. How you navigate those differences may very well determine your future relationship success. If you've ever been shocked or surprised or disappointed about how men approach making the first move and initiating sex, I'd like you to comment below. I'm here to help answer your questions, and I really thank you for engaging me in this subtle, challenging question about the right way to do things, because I don't know we're ever going to arrive at a definitive answer that everybody could buy into, but at least we could attempt to have that conversation. So thank you for indulging me. Hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to talking to you soon. My name is Marc Katz. Thanks for tuning into the Love You podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click on the subscribe button, ring the bell, choose all to ensure you get notified whenever new content comes out. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple. More reviews equals more awareness of the Love You podcast and more love in the world. And if you want to find love right now and you're committed to making healthier choices with men so you can have an easy relationship where you feel safe, heard, and understood, look for the link below and apply for coaching inside Love You. I'll talk to you soon.